Hello, hello, welcome to the stream. I am doing some Crusader Kings, cracking open a few beers and doing this whole feudalism thing. So, we are playing as, I'm going to butcher these Celtic pronunciations, we're playing as Murchad MacDonchad of Munster of the House of Brian, which, if you know your Irish history, the House of Brian, or Ubrian, modern O'Brien, got closer than anyone else had been to properly uniting Ireland. We're doing a historical what if run. What if Ireland had been fully united? Then perhaps we can unite the Celtic kingdoms like Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and then drive the English out of the British Isles. We also have a weird religion, insular Christianity, which is a Celtic form of Christianity that drifted away from the mother church in Rome, and while similar to Catholicism, it did have a few weird traits about it. For example, Celtic marriage traditions, which in this game allows you to have multiple wives, but I don't know if that was something the actual Celtic Christians did. So let's get started. I need to find a wife for me and for my son, Brian, who is 18 and is ready to start cranking out kids. Granted, I'm in my 40s or 39 and also ready to start cranking out kids. So this early in the game, I'm looking for traits. Once I have some decent traits in my bloodline, I will focus on getting claims on Scotland. Because a union of Ireland and Scotland could be quite fearsome here. Need Genius GF. I'll take the mid tier one. Forget what that's called. I know Quick is just the +1. I want better than that. And even though I am doing an Ireland run, I am drinking some German beer because I love me some good lagers and Weiss beers. Howdy, welcome to the stream. I see you changed your name a little bit. I like it. Yeah, I don't think we're getting a genius. Don't see any. Yeah, no geniuses. So I'll just take one of the quick ones and I'll give my that is one I have wanted to get in on for a while. All right, and then I will. Oh, sorry. I am no AV expert, that's for sure. Yeah, I knew there was somebody in here who had the intelligent trait. Want my son to. There she is. Yeah, that's a good start. It's not genius, but it's good. But yeah, World of Warships is one that I have wanted to get in on for a while. Just never had the occasion to. Let's go with strategy. Get that 3 martial boost. So our first goal here. Oh, we can get a physician. Activate. Yeah. All right. Too few knights. That is good. Oh, I need to increase. All right. Need to get my bishop to like me. I am sick of that model in multiplayer games. So I'm going to have him fabricate a claim up here. Well, we go to war down here and unite Southern Ireland, which should be easy. We got 3 times of the men. Yeah, I'm sick of that with like first person shooters and the like. Or like loot boxes are the other one that really grates on my fucking nerves. Granted, I come from an era of gaming where you actually had to like put several hours into the game to earn shit. Like when I played Call of Duty, you didn't just you didn't just like buy the guns. You had to unlock them by playing the game and being good at it. All right, let's see if we can we can seduce him. Um, I mean, some games you have to wait an absurd amount of time to get stuff, but let's invite some knights in because we gotta. Oh, I can ransom somebody. There we go. All right, spouse. What are you good at, wife? She is an intrigue. For some reason, he's my intrigue guy, but sure, improve his intrigue. Holy crap. That's quite a time investment. Granted, I got no room to talk because I have something like 1,400 hours in EU4. Yeah, none of them have good traits, so I think I'll pass on the multiple wives for now. I will take that claim though. All right, so my nephew, he's pretty good, but I want that lifestyle trait. Spend a bit of prestige. I'll pay for the damages. I got you. It's that one and the tank game that I think is by the same people. Passing through a small village, clad in simple cloth, carrying weapons. Yeah, you get out of here. Get out of here with that shit. There we go. I got the lifestyle perk. So I will take gallant. All right, we have a daughter, and she got the trait. That's good. Oh no, we have a granddaughter. My bad. So that's good. Um, Historically, women had far more rights in the Celtic Church than they did in continental Christian churches. But this ought to be easy. Again, we have twice the men. And my goal is to get to Dublin and make that my capital. All right, I have a daughter now, and she got quick, which is good. All right, that's an alliance right there. Oh no, she's sick. Crap, we got a sickly daughter. All right, I will take that province. Thank you very much. And I'm going to send my bishop to. This is going to create some temporary border gore, but it'll be worth it to make Dublin my capital. All right, we just got some money to have a party, basically. I enable. Back to decisions. So I noticed with this game that it tends to just throw me into wars without any notification. So I found this very useful mod that will notify me when important wars are going on, because it's kind of important to know about that sort of thing. And neighbor realm wars. Let me know about it all. Now, host feast. Why can't I do that? Okay, I need 100 gold. So once I have my claim on Dublin, oh, he might be a problem now. What sort of manpower? All right, he's stronger than me, so gonna have to hold off on that one. No, forget Dublin. Go claim Ossory. We don't need him getting stronger. And my wife is pregnant again. So let's host that feast. Let's make her like me more. I'll take that prestige, thank you, and I'll take that hook. Don't know how useful it'll be, but we'll see. You can increase county control here. That's right, she is pregnant, so hopefully it's another son. I'm going to need someone to hold some land for me. Alright, he's my half-brother. Uh, yeah, teach me. Oh, thank you. Welcome to the stream. And yeah, we're doing a Ireland run, and just got a second daughter. So that's another alliance. What's going on here? Wait, did he beat the Normans? No, he did not beat the Normans. Got my hopes up. Because usually once the Normans take over England, that's it for the Welsh, and I want Welsh land, but I'm not quite strong enough to get it. Yeah, usually I'm doing EU4, but nice to take a break from that for a little bit. Yeah, keep teaching me. Keep teaching me. Oh, she's not sickly anymore. That's good. And she's actually looking pretty decent, so let me educate her. And we have the claim here. He's pretty weak, so let's see if we can't. Holy shit! Who is his. Oh, you son of a bitch. Alright, time to start building out my men at arms. Need my own little private army here if I'm gonna become King of Ireland. So now I gotta wait for William of Normandy to die. Keep teaching me. I want that. I want those points. Let me see if I can get myself another wife. Spawn more mighty children. Yeah, let's go with you. I did not mean it like that. I mean, she's actually shaping up to be a pretty decent child. She'll be useful to have around. Also, yeah, that is kind of what Crusader Kings does. I have never, despite the mustache, I have never, never been to police academy. I have many relatives who were police, but that is not a career path I have ever thought of pursuing. I will take that claim. Can't afford that, though I wish I could. Did I get it? Nice. Um, hmm. Yeah, screw off. You owe me. Alright, what's he got? Need more men. Get a second regiment of these guys. She's pregnant now. Looking for traits. Alright, cranked at a son. Nice. Not as good as my primary heir, but he'll be good for holding land one day, keeping it in the family. I like to think I give off that sort of energy. More likely, though, you're about to get a rant about medieval politics and, the Scottish. Damn it. Okay. Let me get some mangonels. They'll make my sieges a lot easier. Um, hmm. Yeah, go to hell. Think you can... Okay, my wife is a witch, apparently. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I guess if it helps me, I don't really care. Alright, let's keep stacking up money. I'm gonna need more men if I'm gonna do this. How much have you got? Okay, I can go after him then. Uh, keep diligent. That's a good trait to have. Don't have a steward. Yeah. I got nothing against the Scottish personally, but when I'm trying to unite Ireland, it doesn't do me any good if they're taking over Ulster. I'm known at work as a guy with very strong opinions on Byzantine politics. Coincidentally, one of the only guys at work with strong opinions on Byzantine politics. Alright, let's take Noble Veins. Whenever I play this game, I play the straight eugenics route. Just want all the best traits, create a dynasty of total Giga Chad geniuses to rule the world with. Cranked out another daughter, very nice. It's a lot of alliances being cooked up. So yeah, if I can't go east, I'll go west. Take over where my family came from, actually. Let me see. Anyone with good traits that I can make children with? Nope. That's a bit a few centuries too early for that, I think. All right, my bishop likes me now. Holy crap! Who? Damn it! They're both allied with the English king. You traitors! You should let me conquer you. Again, I wish I had. That always comes at the most inopportune time. There we go. No better way to start the weekend than with some feudalism. Upgrade that and take. Throw in some horsemen once I have the money to. Alright, what's he got? Who's he allied with? I'll stockpile supplies. I'll go into debt for a little bit. I take both of those as compliments, Captain Price and Bernard Montgomery. Apparently, I give off British vibes. Um, hmm. Yeah, she can keep greedy. I have all these claims, but I can't do anything with them because everyone around me is way too strong. Okay, he at least has an heir, and he's looks like a good heir. My son is actually getting kind of old. So hopefully I die relatively soon. Yeah, apparently I give off British military vibes. As cool as that would be, I have never visited another time period. I'll take aggressive attacker. That'll be good. Alright, what do you want? Well, you're not particularly good at anything. Go away. Yeah, if you want a job, be good at something. Ah, that's no good. There we go. All right. Is he still allied to the King of England? Holy shit. I know I want to use it because it'll be really useful, but it's taken me forever to build up my army like this. Cuz I mean, I can keep building up my army, but there is oh no. What happened here? Oh, you bastard. You impregnated my granddaughter. The hell's wrong with you? You bastard, you made a bastard. Damn it. Well, let me see if I can get an ally out of her. Well, they're English now, and that's interesting. Hmm. Who would be an actually useful ally to have? Alright, he'll be good. Let me see if I can get the Duke of Mercia in on my wars. Okay, he's calling me to war. Who are we against? Some Welshmen and him. What have you got? Yeah, we can take it. And now we're losing money. Great. Oh well. It'll be useful to have an actual ally. Wait, why is he coming after me? You're not at war with me. You're at war with him. I'm just helping. Yeah, let's deliver a speech. Yeah, that is some kind of double negative, probably. Bastard making a bastard cancels out bastardy. Yeah, we're in debt. Oh well. Oh, I'm dead. Alright, King Brian the Second. Wait, why did we lose? Oh shit, half brother. Oh, that sucks. That's not how I wanted that to go down. I have all castles right now. That's where Ireland starts at. Wait, why can't I control my men? What is your deal? Stop that. Stop. Stop. Fuck off. Go away. Go. There we go. I'm aware that I'm in debt. I know that'd be awesome. But unfortunately, okay, I think he's just kind of glommed onto that army. But once I'm not in debt anymore, having the Duke of Mercia as my ally will be good. If I can still ally him. Just stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. I don't I I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, that is annoying the shit out of me, so I'm gonna save and reload this. It just kept giving me the notification tone, so I got pretty sick of it. Okay, there we go. All right, King Brian the Second. Let's go. We got to get out of debt, but that's hard now because of my asshole half brother. Can we kill him? We can't kill him. Damn. Yeah, no, that's the way that debt works in this game is super weird. But our men are of decent quality, and our heir is looking pretty good. Like he looks like he's a decent heir. Um, let's not make him greedy. Let's give him gregarious. I wish I need to change content. That's a terrible trait for a king to have. Oh no, what is he doing? What? Oh great, now I've got a powerful vassal to deal with. Or at least someone who's attempting to become a powerful vassal. My wife is pregnant again. Nice. Yeah, thanks for bringing it to my attention. Um, hmm. Let's give him a few pointers. Yeah, actually, there were a few High Kings of Ireland that were pretty capable military commanders, Brian Boru being one of them. That sucks. Um, but he managed to almost unite Ireland under a single ruler, which would have been something to see. All right, we are almost out of debt. That's a sign. Hmm, not much good here. You're decent. Let's go with you. All right, we are out of debt, and now we're back in debt. How did that happen? Hmm, you'll do. All of the potatoes for the good soldiers. Why am I hovering? Oh, it's because I'm generous. Great. So I'm not going to make any money. Oh, this sucks. Yeah, I'm. This run might be over. This guy is horrible. Right. So what happened there? Um, Basically, what the English used Ireland as sort of a dry run for colonization. That's kind of how the Ulster Scots got there. It was an attempt to colonize something much closer to prove that it could work overseas. So much later in history, Ireland was being used to produce a lot of cash crops that you couldn't eat. So most of the Irish people had to subsist on potatoes because they were cheap, easy to grow, and didn't require great soil at all. So there was a disease that spread among the potatoes in Ireland called the potato blight, and it caused the island to starve. Now, if I remember correctly, roughly half of the Irish population either died or left during the potato famine, and that's when you see a lot of Irish people arrive in the Americas. This would have been in the 19th century. Let me double check for you. Yes, it was 1845 to 1852. Yeah. No, they really changed the game up between the two. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Oh, sure thing. Yeah, that's primarily what I'm here for. I'm as you can see, I'm not that great at this game because now I'm in this situation. Yeah, no, let's not take that stress. No, no, it was the 18th. It was the 19th century, 1800s, because potatoes didn't actually exist in Europe before the Columbian Exchange. They didn't exist anywhere in the Old World. They were a New World vegetable that just did very well in the Old World because potatoes can grow pretty much anywhere. Um, they don't need particularly great soil and they're very calorie dense. So they're great if you're being lorded over by a bunch of English bastards um, who are taking all your food. But so the English's main interest in Ireland was a geopolitical. Kind of having control of this island was very useful for them. First, and second, this region right here called the Pale is some of the richest farmland in the British Isles. Wife is pregnant again. Hmm. I mean, yeah, you can't like grow them in a pile of sand, but as long as you have soil and some moisture, you can grow them. It doesn't need to be particularly great farmland, but they will do fine in a lot of places. And the Welsh have invaded. Well, where are we starting? This run is screwed. RNGesus is not on my side this time. But no, potatoes are one of the many New World crops that did pretty well when exported. So now we're just playing as the Earl of Dublin because we are set to inherit Leinster here when he dies. And we are Catholic this time. We have a son. He's actually pretty decent. He's not great, but if we could find a decent wife for him, we might be able to turn something around. I had a great uncle who had what he called a money tree. It was one of it grew the leaves looked like coins, which is how it got the name. But that'd be nice if you could actually have one of those. All right, you marry this French 16-year-old and make a bunch of smart babies. Don't have enough knights. Domhnall. Who is Domhnall? Well, I'm trying to get him married. Who are you? Well, why would I declare war on him? I'm his heir, and he's 71. He's probably gonna die soon. Alright, there we go. Got a wife for my son, and I'm already married, and I don't think she'll be producing any more kids. So, what's my second son looking like? He is almost an adult, and then my third son, he's okay. Yeah, let's make an alliance with our father. And we will send our bishop to. No, there we go. Alright, he's in Athlone, forging a claim for us. So, should be able to conquer that. Um, this might actually do us some good because we're Catholic now, not insular. So that will help. And yeah, once Dermot here dies, we will inherit Leinster. We are not particularly good at anything. We kind of suck, but we'll get better. We'll get better. My son is a mastermind philosopher, so that should be interesting. Hmm, nice. Despite the fact that we are not particularly good at martial, we got a trait, so we can get gallant. Very nice. Nice. I hope so. Yeah, you take the reins, Mr. Cathbad. Alright, I'll take that claim. Thank you. How many men has he got? I know what I'm doing. Stop second guessing me. Alright, I should be able to handle him, but I don't want to take it just yet. Hold on. Alright, got some free money from the Pope. You're gonna develop Dublin. You keep doing that. She's assisting ruler, and that means we can afford a regiment. So I'll take these guys. That would be awesome, but I think we're a few centuries too early for that. Just perform an amphibious invasion of England a few centuries too early. Alright, Munster's getting pretty beefy there, so we're gonna want to make a move. And I'm gonna call my father into the war, which should make this complete child's play. Early in the game, I like doing that because I find they cut through the enemy like butter. But I am going to add some archers soon. In Ireland, at least, because most of these guys don't have the money for levies of their own, so they're working entirely with peasant levies, or they can't afford their own armies. So yeah, they're working entirely with peasant levies, and also we have our second son who's come of age. Study the older battle, and we won. Disband everything and send our bishop to Ossory. And soon we'll have control over pretty much all of Ireland's richest farmland. And we can also expand our men at arms. I'm glad now that we have. Wait, no, I don't want light footmen. Delete the light footmen. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I honestly think I might like it more than CK2. And I'll get some archers now. There we go. Now we're cooking. Now we got an actual sizable army. We've got some decent income coming in. Like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed CK2, but I'm enjoying how this game plays a bit more, I think. Like I find a lot of the UI a bit more intuitive. Wouldn't that probably would be terrifying. All right, we have a claim, and we're in debt now. So it's actually a that would be awesome. I hope they make Victoria 3. That would be really cool. I don't think we'll ever see it. They're probably still too busy working on shit EU4 DLCs, but hopefully we get it eventually. But I actually had the occasion to talk with some friends of mine at work about medieval peasantry. And people think they had the shittiest life imaginable. They think they were just dirty, shit smeared, uneducated peasants. And yeah, they were peasants, but actually, they kind of had an easier go of things than we did in a lot of ways. So they actually got more time off than we do. People like to think of peasants toiling in fields eternally, but that really was not the case. Um, because they got every Sunday off, they got every Christian holiday off. That's true. Every Sunday off, every Christian holiday, and they also got pretty much every saint's feast day as well. So they had a lot more off time than we do today. They ate better. Their food wasn't loaded down with corn syrup and other shit. Um, they were in better shape than us. And the idea of it being like an absurdly short life expectancy, that wasn't the case. So the problem with a lot of life expectancies, if you move further back in history, is the infant mortality rate being much higher causes the average to drop down for everybody. Realistically, in a lot of the pre-modern world, if you were if you saw your 10th birthday, then in all likelihood you could expect to live a natural life to your 50s or 60s. And my son died. That sucks. All right, but my heir is still good, and my heir is way better than the son that died. So it could be worse. Could always be worse. And let's ransom him. And now we're going to want to expand into Ulster, but we're kind of running out of land we can actually hold. Um, there were a few old ones. Some of the European nobility in the medieval era did live into their 80s, which is pretty good even today. I mean, even earlier, there were some Roman aristocrats that lived well into their 70s and some into their 80s. So life expectancy wasn't as terrible as a lot of people think it was. It was just that a lot of people died before their 10th birthday from. I mean, yes, the video game, but if you look at history, a lot of medieval people lived well into their 50s and 60s. The issue is that there were a lot of diseases that would take a child out that wouldn't take an adult out that we vaccinate for now. So vaccinations in particular have brought down the infant mortality rate as well as better child delivery practices. So it actually wasn't until like the 19th, 20th century when doctors really started washing their hands while delivering babies. Um, I don't know. Could be one of my parents, but so yeah, it wasn't until really the 19th, 20th century that people started like washing their hands before delivering a baby, which sounds absurd to us today, but that was one thing that really lowered infant and mother mortality rates. I mean, pretty obvious to us today, but still. So yeah, it wasn't out of the question for a medieval person to live well into their 60s, even 70s. It was the number of childhood diseases that would take somebody out before they hit age 10 that lowered the average for the era. So that's why they say the average is something like in its 30s. But if everyone died at age 30, there wouldn't have been much of a society to run. Because in the Renaissance, most of them didn't. Um, Hand washing was only really a common practice in Spain, actually. And that's because the Spaniards had considerable influence from the Moors, who were very big into medical hygiene. So the Spaniards actually had some of the most advanced medicine of the early modern period. They were one of the first countries that required a medical license, and that doctors continue to take proficiency examinations throughout their career. Um, they used very primitive anesthetics. They had relatively advanced surgery for the day, and the survival rate of their hospitals in the 17th, 18th century would have been in the high 70%, which is much better than what you got in other supposedly very advanced nations like England, where the survival rate in their hospitals was 30, 40%. So the child mortality. So I studied history my whole life, and I got a my bachelor's degree in history in college. No, let's not cheat on our wife there. That's a bad idea. But actually, medieval history was not my speciality in college. In college, I studied East Asian history, and I got into the medieval era a bit later. Who were you friends with? Why is the King of England allying all of these Irish lords? It's really messing with me. All right, so I'll just develop my land. But yeah, so again, I have studied history my whole life and got my degree in it, and East Asian history in particular. And I started this podcast a couple years ago, um, because I wanted an outlet for it, because I haven't ever worked in the field of history, and we got twins. Cool. I mean, there are lots of Irish people who have, throughout history, asked the King of England to kindly fuck off, but they don't like doing that. But no, my specialty was East Asia, in particular Imperial China and pre-modern Japan. But I started this podcast because I wanted to have an outlet for my love of history while not working in a historical field at all. Like I work in, I do market research. That's my day job. But I was feeling like I wanted a bit more out of life, so I started rambling about history to people on the internet, and I was surprised when people started listening. That might be good, but I'm pretty pleased with my air right now, and I'm starting to get up there. So actually, I should. There we go. Succession. I am cheating a little bit here. I have a mod on that allows you to enable primogeniture much sooner. Let's be friends with him. Because, I mean, it existed in France at this time. And partition succession sucks. I realize a lot of medieval rulers had to deal with it. I just. Oh, son of a bitch. You go right to hell. Need money. Shit. Alright, there we go. We can get money from the Pope. There we go. So now I can get some mercenaries. That'll help. It's the best group I can get. Let's get you guys. And raise my armies. Join them. And kill these fuckers. Yeah, they... Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, this sucks. I don't know what I did to piss off RNGesus, but he does not like me. Alright, new plan. Clearly, I was not meant to do an Ireland stream tonight because both of the times I've tried that, it has gone fucking sideways fast. So, what do we do? Hmm. Let's try Spain. Let's do some crusading. I could do Byzantium, actually. Granted, they start at war with the Seljuks and then usually fall into chaos pretty quickly. But let's give it a go. I am an unabashed Byzantaboo, so love me some Eastern Rome. Actually, I should probably do this in the early start. To get some early medieval up in here. Just like the first game, right? Or CK2, I mean. Alright, Macedon Dynasty. These guys were really interesting. I am probably just going to abandon Sicily. Okay, let's abandon Sicily. Take the martial lifestyle. Strategery. Now, where do I focus first? Oh, I also have way too many territories. Alright, so I definitely want to keep Constantinople. Obviously, I'm not going to give that up. Adrianople is one of the most important Byzantine cities. None of these have been particularly developed, though. Alright, who's in my court? Let's give you one province. And yeah, let's give you another. Alright, there we go. Not over domain limit anymore. What buildings are Disallowed. Why is that? All right, we'll re-enable next month. I can declare a shitload of wars. All right. Yeah, no, I have many issues with their DLC policy in particular. All right, so Byzantium. In this era, I mean, as in most eras, Constantinople was one of the richest cities in the world. And I would argue that even today, it's the single most strategically important city in uh, in Europe or Asia. Because when you look at it, it controls the main land route between Europe and Asia. And Byzantium was one of those empires where it kind of had a foot in both continents. It was both Eastern and Western. Had a foot in, yeah, had a foot in each. Why do I not have a CB on him? So why don't we start by reclaiming. Oh, I need more devotion. But I think I'm going to start by reclaiming Crete and Cyprus. Yeah, I'll take a plush and exotic carpet. Alright, so I'm going to have you increase development in Byzantium. I shall have you. What do I want you to do? Start fabricating claims. Or do I need to fabricate claims? Let's see what happens. No, you keep doing that. There we go. And look, he's even got a mustache like me. This was meant to be. Can't believe they don't give the Byzantines cataphracts. They give the French armored horsemen. Yeah, let's bone our wife and see if we can crank out more kids. What's our education looking like? We're not terrible. What's up? And I'm gonna educate this boy. So the Byzantines did do. They actually invented the idea. So Anatolia is not cold by any stretch of the imagination, but it's also not nearly as hot as the Arabian deserts. So this is a lot warmer than the mountains here. So you did see armored cavalry in the Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire, but the Arabian desert was a bit too hot for heavily armored horsemen. The other thing you got to consider is that the medieval period itself was an abnormally warm period in human history. I mean, there's a whole thing called the medieval warm period where it was incredibly hot. Can upgrade that. Hmm. Let's build a trade port down here. So yeah, the Arabs never particularly used them because the Arabian desert is incredibly hot. But this area, it's cool enough that you can use heavily armored horsemen. So let me see if I can pull up the terrain map mode. That's not what I wanted. Shit. But see all this river plain here? That is still decent. Decent. Not. It's not as absurdly hot as the Arabian Desert. So you could get away with a bit more in the way of heavy armor and horses. All right, time to go to war. There we go. Improved defenses. And the other thing you got to consider is that neither Anatolia nor Persia are as hot as a lot of people perceive them to be. There are some areas in Persia where it's kind of cold. Same story with Anatolia. At least cold relative to the rest of the Middle East. Kill them all. Hmm. I'll look into it. Let's keep an eye on her. Making progress. Go stop them from taking that. Take it back now. There we go. Go fight them again. Still got twice the manpower. Hmm. I want him to have ambitious. That's a really good trait. It appears my runs on the British Isles are just cursed. But apparently, in Greece, they go just fine. Hmm. Hey, it was not going well in Ireland. Two times RNGesus just screwed me over and I wound up at war with multiple people at once who just declared on me. So I decided to start again, and at the suggestion of one of you guys, I decided to do Byzantium. It makes sense. I am an unabashed Byzantibu. Don't tell me I'm gonna lose. Are you? Fuck. Alright, let's get some mercenaries. Yeah, I thought I could win because I had superior manpower, but I guess I didn't. And there's really no getting around mountain fighting in in this region. This ought to do it though. Well, the Crusaders are coming. That was historically not very good for the Byzantines. Well, he's either getting. I'll give him paranoid. That might keep him alive. I don't really want him to be a sadist. Let's ransom him. Keep fighting him. We'll win this eventually. The Macedon dynasty made a habit of slaughtering Bulgarians. In fact, one of the most brutal things I have ever heard in history had to do with the Byzantine treatment of the Bulgars. So when Basil II, Basil the Bulgar Slayer, defeated them in battle, he lined up the prisoners, and he had all of them blinded. But I believe it was every 10th man was allowed one eye, and they were sent back to the to the Khan of Bulgaria to tell him what had happened to them and to discourage any further attacks. 9th century psychological warfare at its finest. It was positively barbaric, but it worked, and the Bulgars were terrified of him. Yeah, no, it was exceptionally brutal. But when you consider that the Bulgarians had not done much to befriend the Byzantines up until that point, so you had a Bulgar Khan called Krum who made a drinking goblet out of the skull of a out of a Byzantine emperor. So brutality was kind of the norm in. So that might very well be a myth. I can't really speak to the veracity of that, but I believe that's where the V for victory came from in England. Yeah, so that was the myth that I have heard is that they sliced the middle fingers off of British soldiers to prevent them from being able to use their bows. But that is very time consuming, and I don't know if the French would have actually done that. They might have done, though, but supposedly that's where the V for victory sign came from. Or V for something else. I actually. My understanding is that's the British equivalent of the middle finger here in America. Almost got it. Between the two of them, I've probably sunk a couple hundred hours into CK2, not nearly as much into CK3. EU4 is the one I've played the most, though. Definitely, I've probably got 1,400 or so hours in that. Do I give him the money? I have the money. Let's give him the money. Make him a friend. Should be useful. Get me a physician. Oh, I have cancer. Great. On the bright side, just conquered an entire duchy. All right, my boy. This is yours now. Let's find you a wife. Yeah. No, it cancer in this game is on all the Crusader Kings games is interesting. And let me tell you, no Paradox game will generate interesting suspect quotes faster than a Crusader Kings game. Well, she's 11. She won't be able to start putting out airs soon. Good trait, but too young for what I need. Let's go with some of all skills. Yeah, it seems like it's a lot more common. I think I got cancer maybe about a dozen times in several playthroughs of CK2, but this is like the fourth or fifth time it's happened in the past couple weeks. Marry this lady. Make strong children. Strong children who won't die of cancer, hopefully. And let's make my boy the Duke of Bulgaria. And, well, both of those guys died, didn't they? So I need to assign some provinces. So what other land have I got? Somehow I inherited this. How did that happen? Well, I'll give it to the Duke of Anatolia. Make him like me more. Actually, I don't want to give it to him directly. So my goal for this campaign, I honestly didn't think about it. I just kind of started it. So how about we set the goal for do better than Byzantium did historically, i.e., last a bit longer before dying. Um, Grand Vassal, this guy. There we go. He hates me less now. So yeah, I want to do what the Macedon dynasty did historically, and oh, look at them go. These guys worked together to recapture Crete. Got these guys in the north of Cyprus I got to deal with. My vassals are doing their thing. I'm focusing on Bulgaria. But yeah, there's a history YouTube channel that kind of describes Byzantium as a flaming disaster empire, and that is actually a very apt description of what most of Byzantine history reads like. Actually, if anyone's looking for a very good book on Byzantine history, I highly recommend Lars Brownsworth's Lost to the West. Let me find a link for you. It's pretty cheap. I have my copy in paperback. This is one of the best books you can read for a general history of the Byzantine Empire. It is spectacular. I just posted it in the chat, but that is one of my most recommended books for anybody looking to learn a good overview of Byzantine history. Covers everything from the split of the empire in the 4th century to 1453. And Lars Brownsworth is a really good writer, and he does a good job humanizing these people who lived so long ago, had such a different culture, and lived in a place that seems almost mythological these days. I am. That is so. I started this stream as part of my history podcast. Um, let me. I need a marshal. You can have that job. So yeah, I started this as part of my history podcast called Renegade Historian, and I started it as an outlet for my love of history because I don't work in a field where I get to work with history much, but I do have a bachelor's in history, and my focus was East Asia, so don't have much occasion to delve into historical topics as much as I would like. So I figured I'd start ranting about it on the internet, and it's surprisingly worked out pretty well so far. And right now, actually, kind of related to that, my current podcast series is on the decline of the Western Roman Empire in particular. And you can catch all of those episodes here. It's called Paradise Lost, and I'm pretty pleased with how it's going. Um, so, this series is going to cover everything from Marcus Aurelius to the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476. Never quite know how to handle those. Huh. Well, I don't think they're going to be able to go after the Abbasid Caliphate on their own, my vassals. But so yeah, so I just well, that's interesting. If you start with the Carolingians in power, shit gets weird real fast. All right, so I got peasants and I've got Lombards of all people. Yeah, that is something. I don't even know how that happened. Probably. And we died. Go figure. We had cancer. It was bound to happen. So let's give away our Bulgarian lands because we can't have those. Alright, I'll give them to my brother. That will make him like me more and hopefully stop any family infighting. And you're right, that is probably a Viking. There's probably some Viking horse shit. And actually, coincidentally, Lars Brownsworth, and actually, it probably is because they have. No, they're Catholics. Oh, that is. What does his domain look like? How did that even happen? How the hell? What the hell? Probably. That is something. Okay, we got a bunch of issues to deal with. I can ransom somebody. That's one of the few good things. Need my marshal to do his thing. I need a marshal. Um, who has the highest? Why do you hate me? Well, you don't like my predecessor. Oh well. You guys are probably going to continue disliking me for a while because that's kind of how Byzantine politics went. Huh. Yeah, I usually do the 1066 start, so I'm kind of unfamiliar with how the earlier start goes down. So let's send all these dudes gifts. Will you like me? Will you be my friend if I send you enough money? I will kindly pay you 150 ducats to fuck off. Usually, though, when Vikings actually conquered a territory, they were a bit smarter than that. And now West Francia is in civil war. Coincidentally, Charles the Bald was the was he? I think he might have been the guy that gave Normandy away. So in college, I studied East Asian history, in particular dynastic China and pre-modern Japan. So basically, Japan pre-Meiji Restoration. Although I kind of accidentally became an expert in the Korean War. I wrote both my junior and senior papers on it. The first one, my junior paper, was a military analysis of the Korean War, sort of a critique of how the Americans handled it, and sort of talking about how Chinese military strategy developed during it, because it developed greatly because Mao Zedong was a guerrilla fighter and he had no real experience fighting on even footing with a relatively even foe. So he wound up learning a lot during the war. And then the second paper was far more interesting, in my opinion. It was a intra-communist political analysis of the war. I studied how Mao and Stalin interacted with one another throughout the war. And howdy, welcome to the stream. But that paper was my senior paper. That one was a lot of fun to write. Probably not tonight. It's getting a little late, and I don't think I'll be up for starting a new one because I'm starting to get a little sleepy. Honestly, it was kind of a long week at work. Um, but so that was kind of my focus in college, and then after college, I decided to change things up, and I wanted to do my first series on uh, early medieval Europe. Howdy, welcome to the stream. Um, but yeah, my first series I did was on early medieval Europe because I felt it was a period of history that not enough people understood. And it's true. I mean, just from my personal experience, learning in an American classroom, most of the time when we covered medieval history, we started in 1066 and didn't really cover anything before that. When in reality, medieval history is fascinating and very long. So, that first series, From the Ashes of Empires, started Renegade Historian. And actually, this is the. Yeah, Leviathan is a mess. But, so the first series that I did, and I don't really want to. I could probably get it working again. It's just not something I really want to deal with right this second. But my first series, I had a lot of fun writing. And that is basically what From the Ashes of Empires was. I started with roughly the 5th century, late 4th, early 5th century. That was the first episode. And I started essentially with the formal split of the empire, talked about the Huns and the Germans. And that series ends at the Seljuk conquest of Anatolia in 1071. Because there are actually two arguments for when the High Middle Ages started. There are some who hold that it was 1066 with the Norman invasion of England, and there are others, myself included, who holds that it really was the Seljuk invasion of Anatolia, because that was would really signal the beginning of the end for what was left of Rome. And then I kind of segued nicely into that with my second series, which covered the Crusades from 1096 to 1453. And I decided to end the Crusades with 1453, even though the crusading movement had really run out of steam by then. The crusading movement started to run out of steam after the Fourth Crusade, really. Um, but mostly because a lot of the crusading went home, basically. And also, thank you. He was actually a big inspiration in me starting this. And originally, my goal was to kind of do a shorter form version of what he does. So actually, I cover this in my very recent episode of in my new episode for the current series, where the feudalism really starts with Diocletian. So during the crisis of the third century, what you see is a lot of regular Romans. So most of Rome was small landholders. They were like small family farms, but not like large aristocratic landholders at all. But during the crisis of the third century, small landholders couldn't protect themselves from the Germanic raids. So a lot of them fled to the households of larger landholders who could pay for men to protect the land. So they kind of unofficially became peasants, but it was Diocletian that formed it. He formalized the peasants being tied to the land. Also, Hoi 4 with no DLC is it's something. Um, some of those DLCs are definitely worth it. Not all of them though. Um, um, but where was I? Um, so I think my main goal with this podcast, what I've been doing, is going into periods that kind of get glossed over, but really shouldn't. Um, because honestly, learning the history of the Crusades will help you understand a lot of what's going on currently in the Middle East. It will allow you to understand both Christianity and Islam a little bit better. And early medieval Europe is something that nobody really knows much about because, again, most history classes I've been through before college, also, yeah, La Resistance is worthless, and I can't remember which one Death or Dishonor is. And then so I started putting my episodes up to my series up to a vote this year. So this year was the first one that my subscribers picked, and I had them vote for. So Fall of the Ottomans was part of it, but I had my subscribers vote for this series, which was the Fall of Rome. Um, and I'm putting together ideas for the next one. Keep an eye out for. Why is my daughter my player? Okay, that's right. My old guy died, so I'm. That's fine. Hopefully, I have a son soon, though. But so I am cooking up ideas for the 2022 series already. A few things I would like to cover. Um, right. So historically, what keeps the Middle East together is when you have a really big, mean kid on the block who can force all of the ethno-religious groups to get along with each other. Because the Middle East has always been a violent place since the dawn of history. I mean, some of the first wars in human history were fought in the Middle East. But sure, let's give him a weak hook. Let's talk to her. So, and actually, that is something I cover in my first series. Is the well, I don't really know about that because you have a lot of non-Arab ethnicities here, and yeah, they're all kind of loosely Arab, but that would be like putting the Poles and the Czechs together in one country. I don't think it would really work out. But you have a lot of ethno-religious groups in this region. It's a bit like the Balkans in that none of them really like each other all that much. So it tends to go to hell unless there is a big nasty power wielding a big stick in the region. But it's never been a stable region, not since the dawn of human history. Let's get some armored footmen up in here. Also, yeah, so I am in no way trying to absolve the British for what they did, but the Brits and the French are a large part of why the Middle East is still fucked up today. Um, Realistically, an Arabian state could probably include a lot of the Levant, but you have a significant Kurdish minority here who I don't think would like Arab rule. Um, and you probably would see more conflict between that greater Arabian state and the Persians. Yeah, so the only thing that held Yugoslavia together was the personality of Josip Broz Tito. Without him, Yugoslavia fell to pieces, as it was pretty much always going to, because none of those people liked each other. Not even a little bit in the beginning. But, I mean, the Balkans as a region has also historically usually been kind of a shit show. Probably. But also, I mean, forcing borders on the Middle East is what led us into this mess in the first place. It has never worked out well for anyone who's tried. It's just one of those regions that has always had trouble. What's that linked to? Oh, I've seen this one. That's a good video. No, my personal favorite is Serbia Strong with the 150% disciplined face. I love that one. All right, should probably send my bishop to what duchy do I want next? Go for Moesia. Can I get a war with him? Um, None that I really want to push right now, so we'll see. Let's be diplomatic. Let's see what's next for the podcast. Is Right. So actually, interesting thing there. Um, the Slavs all more or less spoke a very similar language to one another before religion came into the picture. So Eastern and Western Slavic were part of a larger linguistic group called Proto-Slavic, or Early Slavic, or High Church Slavonic. Basically, it was a Slavic language that predecessed all of the modern Slavic languages. The main thing that started the division between them is the Western Slavs, like the Poles, the Silesians, and the Czechs. They are still very similar, but here's where the difference came in. The Poles, the Silesians, and the Czechs all adopted Latin Christianity. So their languages have much more influence from Latin. Whereas the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Belarusians, and the Southern Slavs adopted Orthodox Christianity, largely with the exceptions of Croatia and Slovenia, and they have more of an influence from the Greek language. It is also a very beautiful language to listen to being sung. Um, Russian Orthodox chants are just gorgeous music. Um, in Hoi 4, let's see, for your first game, you'll probably have a bit more fun as Russia. Honestly, for learning the game, Germany is not a bad option. Germany is OP. So they're not a bad idea for learning how to play the game on. Um, but you will probably have more fun as Russia. U.S. playthroughs in Hoi 4 are pretty boring. Um, because you're not really at risk from anybody except the Japanese, and even then, they really usually cannot pull off a naval invasion of you because the AI sucks at naval invasion. Yeah, that is a the Germans are to Hoi 4 what the Ottomans are to EU 4. They are a very good way of learning how to play the game. But so the next episode of the podcast, going back to Christianity for a moment, it's going to be entitled "The Man from Galilee," and it's going to cover the great persecution of Christians under Diocletian and sort of how they rose to rule Rome in their own right. Sort of how Rome became a Christian empire. Also, yeah, especially with their when the French got their vassal swarm back, they did. Um, but yeah, the French with their vassal swarm are something else. Um, so I guess that's another way of putting it. But yeah, no, for Hoi 4, so Rome becoming a Christian empire is partially political, partially genuine belief. So during the crisis of the third century, a lot of people wind up adopting Christianity because all of Rome's old institutions had failed it completely. Um, a lot of people felt they had been abandoned by the old Roman gods because they were subject to constant attacks from the Germans and the Persians and God only knows what else. So a lot of people genuinely converted. And earlier in Christian history, it had um, it had attracted a lot of the poor and dispossessed, but during the third century, Christianity makes a jump to the sort of working and middle class of ancient Rome. So by the time you get to Diocletian, you have a very large minority of Christians who are spread all around the empire. So at a point, it kind of became a political reality that there was no suppressing this anymore. And also, I do think Constantine genuinely believed on his deathbed, because he did convert on his deathbed. That's the thing. He wasn't really the first Christian emperor, but he did convert very late in life. Um, so when he legalized Christianity, which was the big thing that he didn't make it the official religion of the empire, but he did legalize it empire wide. Then it really took off, and then Christians over the next century or so became the majority in the empire. And during that time is when the emperors adopt it as their religion and it becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire. So there's a bit more nuance to it. They started off as a suppressed minority, but they gradually grew. across all sectors of Roman society into the religious majority of the empire. And once that had happened, there was no going back. The Roman gods were just kind of a dying religion. The old Olympian religion just kind of it didn't go down without a fight, but it started fading as the empire got older. And that is actually something that's interesting if you look at how the Romans practiced their Christianity. Also, yes, that was one of the big appeals. So, and another thing, as cynical as it sounds, consider that this is an age in the third century of the Paradox Map games. EU4, I think that has the most well developed mechanics, and it has just the right amount of micromanaging and just the right amount of just kind of painting the map. That is probably my favorite of the lot. That is the one I always find myself going back to, and that's the one I've sunk the most hours into. But yeah, so Christianity also had a large natural appeal, in part because of the communities that developed around it. So during the crisis of the third century, a lot of Romans felt abandoned by the. Yeah, I agree with you there. I did get Imperator on a sale just to try it, and the UI is a mess. But Christianity had a lot of appeal because the local church communities that had developed throughout the empire took care of one another during the crisis. They did a lot better of taking care of one another than the pagans typically did, than the pagan churches typically did, or temples, whatever you want to call them. So that attracted a lot of people. And then there's the whole fact that the Christian afterlife sounds a lot more appealing than the afterlife you would find in the Olympian religion. I mean, think of it this way. Most of us poor schmucks wound up in the fields of Asphodel or the Roman equivalent, which was just kind of a pale imitation of life on this earth. But you have in Christianity eternity spent in the presence of an all loving, all knowing Father God in eternal paradise. So that also appealed to a lot of people, much more than the afterlife in the old Olympian religion. So, yes, it was in part natural, but once Christianity kind of achieved critical mass within the Roman Empire, there was no going back, and it became the official religion. And I'm going to be talking all about this in the next episode of the podcast, which will be coming out sometime in early June. Um, so I publish new episodes of the main series every month, right around, usually around the first of the month, give or take a couple of days. Um, but I also have a shorter series called Snippets of History that goes out mid-month. So the next one of that will be coming out next week sometime, late next week, early the week after. And that is just kind of on whatever the hell I feel like covering. Usually less than 10 minutes long. So, like, the most recent snippets I did was on the development of tanks during World War One. So, yeah, it's just kind of whatever I feel is interesting or that I think will be entertaining to learn a bit about. And then every week on Sunday evenings or Monday mornings, I put out a blog post called History for the Day, which again just kind of covers. They typically are in short series, but they cover whatever I want to talk about that given week. and I've started doing the podcast on YouTube, um, but it's also available on SoundCloud and Podbean. Though YouTube has become my favorite platform simply because it typically gets the most audience engagement. Because I do put about 20 hours or so of work into each episode. So with SoundCloud and Podbean, I would get like under 10 downloads, and that was kind of a bummer for something I put so much effort into. But my episodes on YouTube do a lot better. Oh shit. Um, let's become a recluse. Let's pull the Howard Hughes maneuver. Start pissing in jugs and grow our fingernails way out. And then this year I started streaming because I figure I play enough of these games on my own. Might as well make use of them and rant about history in the process. So the main stream that I do on this Twitch channel is on Sunday nights where I drink whiskey and play EU4 usually. Right now I'm in the middle of an England run that miraculously the save was not completely fucked sideways by Leviathan. So that is continuing on Sunday. Also, yeah, that was I don't know why the chat rules are annoying. So I don't know. Paradox is usually pretty good about fixing problems from my experience. Um they're no CD Project Red where going on 6 months later the game is still unplayable. But and also yeah, that was kind of the Crusades in a nutshell. The Crusades start going downhill once the Crusaders start slaughtering their fellow Christians. So I would say give it a couple of weeks at most. They're usually I honestly feel bad for the developers because if you play you can see that there's a decent game under it all. If you can somehow get past the technical issues, there's a decent game there. The problem I think really was yeah, the publishers and the CEOs of the company pushed it too hard and the developers like again the story is fine and a lot of the characters I genuinely enjoyed. um, well yes because it's more profitable for Paradox to develop new DLCs than to produce new games. Yeah, I've gotten it's the corporate element of video game development that has created a lot of these problems. But I genuinely feel bad for like the artists and the programmers and everyone else who like poured their souls into that game only to have it fucked over by greedy execs. Cuz again, like I did play it. I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was a fun game when it worked, and I thought they nailed the atmosphere, among other things. But there is a great game under the technical difficulties, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't just let that game live. they needed to make it into something else. They needed to basically destroy it. But so they oversold it, and they honestly made claims. Yeah, I know they did say that, but they oversold it. They made claims that honestly no video game would have been able to do. They were basically promising like a whole new reality. Like some of their promises were just ridiculous, and I didn't really believe them going in. So I had relatively low expectations relative to a lot of people, I think. But underneath the technical difficulties, there is a good game there. And I hope it eventually becomes a good game, but I'm doubtful. And the other problem is so many games these days come out unfinished, and I think part of the problem is games have gotten so big. They are so big, so detailed, so involved that there are bound to be problems with them. That's why day one patches have become so common. Is these games have gotten so incredibly large that um, it's just there's so much to them, and they take so much more effort to develop than they used to. Like I mean, I don't know how old any of you guys are, but I mean I remember growing up, there were new video games every month. Now it's like major releases are months and months and months apart from each other. And also, yeah, that is a stupid decision from a business standpoint because the overwhelming majority of video game players, at least for that kind of game, they play on consoles. So you got to develop for what most of the people are using. And then the PC players can scale it up with their high-end rigs, but most people can't afford or build uh, NASA computers. But you know, I remember when I was growing up, there were like new video games every week, every month, and they were most of them were pretty good. But size-wise, they were a fraction of the size of modern games. Like I think Cyberpunk 2077, the initial install was like 40 some gigabytes. And your average game of like the mid 2000s when I was a kid was like a tenth of that, maybe. Usually less. So it's kind of it's part of the problem is the management. Part of the problem is just kind of how video games have developed and become what they are today. Yeah, in CK2 the Vikings are stupid OP. Yeah, I usually stream every Friday and Sunday. Friday streams go from 8 to 10. The Sunday streams go from 8 to 10:30. Um, I might introduce more streams in the future, but for now, those are the days that I can. Because most of the time during the week, I'm working on the actual episodes, and those usually take priority. So I actually had to cancel the last Friday stream to work on episode 4. Definitely, I am happy for anyone to come by and listen to me rant about history. Huh? That is weird. I don't know what to tell you. I can say that weird shit happens in CK2, even more so than CK3. That could be it. I know Anglo-Saxon England operates on an elective in that game, which they did historically. It was an elective monarchy. They just largely like to stick to the same dynasties. But I think I'm gonna call the stream here. I will be back on Sunday with my EU4 England playthrough. We've just started colonizing the Americas, and I'm trying to do a bit better than the English Empire did historically. So, see you guys next time. Renegade Historian, signing off.